Welcome, my fellow Weeaboos and Marvel Cinematic Universe fans. This is my long-awaited follow-up to my ultimate MCU Strength and Power tier list, where I will be ranking all of the relevant characters of Phase 4 in terms of strength and power. Each tier houses characters of roughly the same power, with the ones on the left being the ones I think are more likely to win. Let's get right into this. At the bottom of the human tier is Leapfrog. He's a buffoon in a supersuit, and he's more likely to hurt himself than his opponent. Next is the legendary actor Kevin Bacon. His spot represents your average human. Dreykov isn't much of a fighter, but as an ex-Soviet officer who's willing to do almost anything to achieve his goals, he likely goes above your average Joe. Katie, after her training in Ta Lo, became a skilled shot with a bow and arrow. Mr. Immortal, as his name suggests, is immortal, and there's nothing the characters below him can do to stop him. Mobius is armed with a time stick which he can use to incapacitate or prune Mr. Immortal. Jimmy Woo's skilled enough to beat up several sword agents and is armed with a gun. The next four characters are the monster hunters from Werewolf by Night. They're ordered based off their confirmed monster kills, which I think lines up pretty nicely with how well they fought against Elsa Bloodstone. Jack can easily defeat multiple armed men attacking him with his expert level sword skills. When serious, he was able to quickly disarm Kate Bishop. Kazi was skilled enough to give Kate Bishop a good fight and give Clint a small amount of trouble. He should be skilled enough to avoid being stabbed by the sword-wielding maniacs below him long enough to shoot them. Anton Morgart's head of security Beck was skilled enough to fight on even footing with Layla and got the advantage over her at one point. Layla's a skilled fighter which enabled her to take out multiple goons with fists and weapons alike. She even managed to just barely defeat a superhuman Egyptian zombie. Baron Zemo is a ruthless and intelligent fighter, taking out multiple people at once using the environment to his advantage. He even made the super soldier Carly duck for cover and hide from him. Sharon Carter, aka the Power Broker, can repeatedly take on multiple men at once. And since I didn't put her on my last MCU tier list, I'll bring up how she temporarily fought Bucky in Civil War. Next is the Elite Human tier, which is for characters with very low level superhuman strength and or supernatural skill that would never actually be obtainable in real life. At the bottom is Man-Bull, who has superhuman strength and was beating El Aguila in their fight. Titania has even greater superhuman strength, being able to smash right through a concrete wall and gave She-Hulk a bit of a fight. But she seriously messed up her face just by slipping on an ice cube, so I think the elite fighters and killers above would end her. Hunter B-15 is skilled in hand-to-hand combat, even giving Loki trouble for a bit, so she should be able to use her time stick to slow and or prune the characters below. Elsa Bloodstone is an extremely skilled fighter, being able to take down multiple other trained monster hunters fairly easily. Melina is a Black Widow that easily defeated a Red Room guard and surprise tossed Taskmaster. She could be higher, but her feats are limited, so she stays down here. This is probably where most of the other fodder Black Widows would go as well. Nakia was able to kill a Telecanil with her sonic rifle, and those blue freaks are able to walk off fatal wounds. She also fought off multiple of them with her ring blades. Najma and her fellow clandestines are skilled warriors with low-level superhuman strength. Kareem was just a human, but he was skilled enough to fight against Kamala and hold his own against the clandestines. His master Waleed is even more skilled, being able to fight off multiple clandestines at once and hold the advantage. He could throw his daggers hard enough to embed into concrete and kill the clandestine with them. Razor Fist is a strong and skilled fighter with a blade on his arm, which can slice through most materials like butter. He could give Shang and his sister some trouble. Death Dealer seemed like more of a threat to Shang in their fight, and temporarily held off Shang's aunt, who was able to easily beat the Shang Razor Fist fought, so I put him above his co-worker. Kate Bishop is skilled enough in close quarters to fight off multiple Tracksuit Mafia members, as well as inconvenience Yelena, which is more impressive than it sounds considering how skilled Yelena is. What really gets her this high is her archery skills and trick arrows, which allowed her to defeat large numbers of the Tracksuit Mafia. Her most impressive feat is arguably how she took multiple strikes from the superhuman Kingpin and kept getting back up, actually defeating him using her trick arrows, though Kingpin wasn't really fully focused in trying to defeat her in that fight. Maya, aka Echo, may be deaf and missing a leg, but she's skilled enough to give Hawkeye a lot of trouble in close quarters and was clearly superior to Kate Bishop. She also quickly defeated Kazi. Batroc was able to hold his own against the new Captain America Sam Wilson, just like he did with the old one. If Sam didn't have any of his gear, he would probably go right around here. M'Baku has incredible strength, being able to toss Telecanil far distances, and his armor protected him from a punch from Namor. He almost beat a depowered T'Challa, so we know he should be at the pinnacle of elite human. Shang-Chi before his training at Ta Lo was about as elite as a human can get in terms of hand-to-hand combat. He's probably at least on the level of Clint and Natasha, but he just doesn't have the gear to match them. His sister Xiao Ling is on the same level as him, and we see at her underground fighting ring, a fight between a Black Widow and someone who took Extremis is considered low level, while she fights on the main stage, so she should scale above them. She beat a holding back Shang, but I think if Shang was serious, he would have had the edge over her. However, after her training at Ta Lo and her new dragon scale armor and weapon, I think it's fair to put her at the top of this tier. The Superhuman tier is for characters who have supernatural abilities and know how to use them. Billy and Tommy Maximoff are the least experienced in this tier, but they arguably have the strongest powers. Tommy has the powers of Quicksilver and can break the sound barrier with his running speed, while his brother Billy has telepathic and telekinetic powers similar to his mother. I would put Billy higher as he reacted to his brother's speed and stopped a bullet mid-flight. Monica Rambeau could also react to bullets and stop them with her gelatinous body. She's a skilled fighter and was able to get the better of the fake Quicksilver, so she should go above Tommy, and probably Billy as well. She'll likely be much higher once the Marvels comes out and she has more mastery over her powers. The Kingpin Wilson Fisk has superhuman strength, being able to rip a car door off its hinges and knock people around like rag dolls. He's incredibly durable, being able to walk off being hit by a car and a point-blank explosion. Red Guardian is a super soldier who can snap the arm of even the largest of men, flip large objects, kick down steel doors, and jump incredible heights. But his skills are lacking, which keeps him from being up with the other super soldiers. Carly's also a super soldier, but she seems more skilled than the Red Guardian, being able to fight against Bucky, Sam, and John. One of her super soldier henchmen was able to easily push down a light pole, showing their physical superiority over Fisk. Jack Russell in his werewolf form is easily as strong if not stronger than the super soldiers, being able to burst right through metal bars. He fights like a savage animal, so characters with proper gear and skill can take him, but I don't think Carly, Alexi, or Fisk have the skill to avoid being ripped to shreds. Mantis has superhuman strength and agility and can control someone's mind or put them to sleep with just a single touch, which would be how she would take down Jack and the others below. Ying Nan is an expert martial artist, being able to easily defeat Shang when he first arrived in Ta Lo, as well as Death Dealer. She's empowered by the Great Protector and can control the wind to blast away her opponents, which she could use to keep Mantis away from her. Io was able to easily beat John Walker before he took the Super Serum and even got the better of Bucky, though he was holding back. She has a vibranium spear that will pierce anyone below her if it lands, and if her reaction speed's on par with Okoye's, then she should be able to block multiple bullets at once mid-air with it. Her armor is also vibranium, so if she does end up missing, she's still protected. Daredevil is blind, but his other enhanced senses make up for that, even being able to tell the number and location of people based off their heartbeats. He clearly gave She-Hulk a harder time than Titania did and easily defeated large numbers of goons, which apparently take 15 seconds each to defeat on average. Yelena was able to defeat other widows and go relative with her sister Natasha and Clint Barton. I put Clint above her as he was holding back on her and he still seemed to get the advantage over her at one point. Plus his main staple is his bow and arrow, which allowed him to instantly stomp Maya when she was just giving him trouble beforehand. With the right trick arrows and if he keeps his distance, he has a good chance of beating anyone in this tier. Natasha Romanoff was able to take on a large group of other widows at the same time, which is arguably the best close combat feat of any normal human in the MCU. Taskmaster copied the abilities of all the Avengers and has enhanced strength which allowed her to defeat Natasha and the Red Guardian. Her suit can analyze her opponents as they fight and has razor sharp claws. She also has a shield like Captain America and a bow with explosives like Hawkeye. The new Captain America Sam Wilson might not be as good as Natasha or Taskmaster in hand-to-hand combat, but his gear makes up for that. He has Cap's vibranium shield and a set of vibranium wings with a jetpack that allows him to fly. He has launchable explosives strong enough to destroy helicopters, and his suit can eject a drone called Redwing which could also destroy helicopters. In close quarters while holding back, he was able to get the advantage over some of Carly's super soldiers, and he was able to give the superpowered John Walker trouble. If Sam uses all of his gear to the fullest potential and is going for the kill, I think he deserves to be at the top of this tier. The super soldier tier is for superpowered characters with elite level skill, or characters so strong they can match that skill. Essentially, they're characters on the level of Captain America. Alligator Loki was able to bite the hand off another Loki variant, so he should probably be able to eat the characters in the tier below. Boastful Loki got the better of him, so he would go above his reptilian counterpart, and Kid Loki was their leader, so he'd probably go above both of them. Mordo of Earth 838 has a magical sword and uses his magical abilities to aid him in combat. He may have been his universe's Sorcerer Supreme, but he's this low due to the fact he couldn't even beat Strange with handcuffs on that were suppressing his magic. Renslayer was skilled enough to instantly defeat Mobius and gave Sylvie a decent challenge. I have no idea how she's this strong, since I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be a normal human. But she put up about as good of a fight as Cap did against Loki, and she has a weapon that can one-shot just about anybody. So this spot seems fair. The next 5 spots are for the weaker Eternals. Ajax was the leader of the Eternals, but her only special power is being able to heal. She still has superhuman durability and reaction speeds, so she should be in this tier. But considering her attack power is lower than a gun, I think she's limited to this placement, as most of the characters in the tiers above are bulletproof. Druig was strong enough to knock out Sprite from behind, and durable enough to survive being laser beamed through the ground by Icarus, though his durability may have been amped by the Unimind at that time. In a way, he's arguably one of the strongest Eternals, as he can mind control large groups of people at once. The problem is we don't know his mind control limits. He needs his power greatly amplified to control a Celestial, so we know he does have limits, and we know he can't mind control other Eternals like Icarus or Deviants. He was put in this tier as a lot of the characters in this tier and the ones above are not regular humans, so him being able to control them is questionable. But he doesn't have to control his target's mind directly. He can use his powers on others to make them fight for him. Cersei has the power to manipulate matter, being able to use her environment to defeat her foes. She recently gained the ability to transmute sentient creatures, so if she puts her hands on someone, she can end them. With the Unimind power-up, she was able to transmute a near-planet-sized Celestial. Sprite can create illusions and turn herself invisible, which can allow her to surprise attack her target, as she did with Cersei. Kingo can shoot energy blasts out of his fingers, making his ability far more useful than the Eternals below in terms of direct combat. He could possibly be up with the other combat-oriented Eternals, but he needed Sprite's help to take out a Deviant and didn't participate in the final battle against Icarus, so it's hard to scale him to their level. Korg was able to take out a bunch of God Guards, who should all be superhuman in strength. Ted is big, strong, and can burn people to death with his acid hands. I put him above Korg because apparently he was a champion of Sakaar at one point based off the statues, but I think that was probably just an Easter egg made way before they decided they were bringing him into the MCU, so using that is questionable. Namora was stronger than the other Telekineal, being able to swim through the sound weapon the others could not. Even regular Telekineal can survive injuries that should be fatal to regular humans, and have a siren song that can make people suicidal. Atuma was the other elite Telekineal. He was able to convincingly defeat Okoye and was confident enough to give her back her weapon so he could beat her again. Layla as the Sacred Scarab was strong enough to fight against Harrow for a bit. She has wings that allow her to fly, deflect bullets, and reflect energy blasts. She clearly wasn't on the level of Harrow, and groups of regular humans could give her trouble, which is why she was left in this tier. Bucky is a super soldier durable enough to jump out of a low-flying plane without a parachute. He was a level above the Flag Smasher super soldiers, and his vibranium arm is a big asset. Isaiah apparently kicked the Winter Soldier's ass back in the day, so a prime version of him should be above Bucky. John Walker, even before taking the super serum, was testing off the charts in speed, endurance, and intelligence. At that time, he would have been around the top of the elite human tier, which is backed up by him giving unskilled super soldiers trouble. After taking the serum, he became strong enough to quickly kill another super soldier in a fit of rage. He then fought Bucky and Sam at the same time and gave them a hell of a fight. Captain Carter has the iconic vibranium shield along with a jetpack. She was able to give Wanda some trouble, which is a better feat than any of the other super soldiers or characters in this tier have. If you include her variant form from What If, she also has the best strength feats out of any super soldier. Just for the record, I think Steve Rogers would be right around John's and Peggy's level. The low superhero tier is for characters with strength and durability that go beyond the level of a super soldier. Kamran is a clandestine that gained the same energy construction power that Kamala acquired. He could bust right through brick walls, easily defeat groups of soldiers, block bullets, fling armored trucks like toys, and when going out of control, his power is starting to cover a city block. Kamala has these same powers but is more experienced and skilled at using them. She can smash armored trucks and flip the vehicles in the surrounding area with just the shockwave of the impact. She can cover her body with the energy to make herself bulletproof. Large amounts of bullet fire can start to overwhelm her. On the other hand, bullets just tickle Drax, and he playfully flips cars too, so I put him above her. Nebula was able to take Bucky's arm from him and give it as a gift to Rocket. The director of Guardians of the Galaxy said Nebula thinks of Bucky as wet crepe paper and just tore his arm off, so she has to go a tier above him. Harrow initially had the power to judge a person and end their life by touching them, as well as summon jackals, which are powerful invisible dog-like creatures. He then got a power-up where he could judge and take people's lives from a distance. He was able to open up a pyramid as if he was Moses parting the Red Sea, and defeated the other Egyptian god avatars, who could casually stomp other humans. He then got another power-up after officially becoming Amit's avatar. He was able to judge an entire city at that point. He isn't higher because he can't choose whose soul he can strip from their body. But he can choose who he blasts with his purple energy beams, which are powerful enough to shatter large stone pillars. Moon Knight's actually 3 different personalities, and each one of them has a different level of skill. Steven is the weakest, and initially would have been at least a tier down, losing to a Jackal, but by the end of the series he probably reached this tier or at least close to it. Mark would be in this tier but below Harrow, as he stomped a Jackal but couldn't beat Harrow even with Layla's help. He also has throwable crescent blades while Steven only has batons. Jake Lockley is the strongest of the personalities, defeating Harrow on his own off-screen. Moon Knight can fly fast enough to create massive wind gusts and destroy the concrete upon impact. He is durable enough to get back up from that, as well as being thrown through concrete walls. He can block bullets with his cape and fling them back with enough force to take people out. He even took a prolonged blast from Harrow with the same beam that was able to instantly shatter massive stone pillars. If he does get injured, he's still okay due to his regeneration power. Green Goblin has the strength to body slam Peter through multiple building floors, has a blade on his arm that pierced a different Peter, multiple types of explosives, and a glider that can cut through Doc Ock's tentacles, and Aunt May. Lizard was able to consistently physically overpower the Spider-Man. Doc Ock can throw around giant concrete pillars and cars like nothing, and overpowered Peter even in his Iron Spider suit. The 3 Spider-Men should go above or at least around their enemies. MCU Peter decisively defeated Goblin when he got serious. Andrew Garfield's Peter webbed up Lizard, and Tobey's Peter seems to be the strongest of the Spider-Men, stopping MCU Peter's bloodlusted attack, and being the only one with natural web production. If you want to see a more detailed ranking of the Spider-Man characters, go check out my Spider-Man Strength and Power tier list. Wenwu with the 10 rings can defeat small armies on his own, and his striking power is enough to shake a massive dragon-scale door. His wife Ying Li, while empowered by the Great Protector, was able to defeat her future husband. Ironheart, while in her full vibranium suit, is basically untouchable to the characters below, due to the durability of vibranium. She can fly, and at speeds faster than Namor. She was able to defeat Namora pretty easily. Okoye with her Midnight Angel armor is also fully donned with vibranium and can fly, but she's way more skilled than Ironheart. Even without the suit, she was blocking multiple incoming bullets with her spear, which is one of the best feats in the MCU for a supposedly regular human. The exosuit stated to grant superhuman strength, speed, and durability, and once putting the suit on, she was able to get her revenge and defeat Atuma. Shuri with the power of the Black Panther has superior strength and speed, as well as a superior suit, minus the ability to fly. She was able to have a brutal fight with a weakened Namor. Namor called the Black Panther the most powerful person on the surface. Loki and his female variant Sylvie are next. I have the standard Loki we know and love above his female variant, as he was able to get the better of her with his magical advantage. He also seemed to be having an easier time with the alien train guards than her, even though he was drunk and playing around. The Loki show made him look kind of weak at times, but it also gave him one of his best feats, when he threw back a building with his telekinesis. Sylvie initially had the advantage of controlling people's minds with her enchantment ability, but Loki learned that ability by the end of the show. We know Loki's weakness is the Hulk, so I put She-Hulk above him. She clearly seemed weaker than her cousin, but Jennifer was still strong enough to crack the landscape with her punches and create shockwaves by clapping. The mid-superhero tier is for characters with strength surpassing building level, and or having abilities too versatile for the characters below. America Chavez, after learning how to control her powers, was able to create a massive shockwave with one of her punches, which is a power feat nobody in the tiers below have shown they could replicate. She also creates portals to other universes, and her punches can knock her enemies into them. Old Loki created an illusion of Asgard. We see earlier that Old Loki's illusions can actually be tangible and used to fight people. So if he created a tangible Asgard, that would put Old Loki at city level. However, it was unclear if it was tangible like his other illusions, and he doesn't have any great combat feats. So I just put him a tier above standard Loki, because Sylvie asked how Old Loki could pull that feat off, and Loki's response was that he thinks that they're stronger than they realize. Abomination held off Professor Hulk, but that version of She-Hulk was retconned by her fourth wall break, so that feat's questionable. But he was Hulk tier in Phase 1, and I think it's likely he still is. Wong was able to defeat Abomination and was essentially training him, so he goes above him. Gargantos was able to defeat Wong and gave Strange some trouble. One of Wanda's alternate demons killed an alternate version of Doctor Strange, with Strange admitting it was too strong for him. Unless Wanda decided to send a much weaker demon after America after the other one already failed, I think the alternate Strange should go below Gargantos as well. Gargantos is a giant eye monster, and there's no greater enemy to eyes than sand. That is why Sandman is higher. When there's enough sand around, he can easily overpower Spider-Man, and his body being made of sand makes him essentially impossible to beat or stab to death. The next group of Eternals have energy abilities that can deal with Sandman or are just too fast or strong for him to put down. Phastos is the most versatile Eternal, being able to shoot out energy blasts that destroyed incoming volcanic rocks, send out swarming discs that can be used to annoy Icarus, or bring them back to use as a shield to block Icarus' laser vision. He could slam Icarus to the ground and restrain him for a limited time. Makari is the fastest Eternal and just one of the fastest in the MCU in general, being able to cross the planet extremely quickly and blitz the other Eternals, including Icarus. Thena is arguably the most skilled Eternal in close quarters combat. When she went on a rampage, she got the better of Phastos and Makari. It took Gilgamesh, the physically strongest of the Eternals, to take her down. Gilgamesh was also beating the deviant Crow before he got distracted, so he would go above that version of Crow. But Crow ended up killing him and taking his power. Crow also previously stole Ajax's regeneration power, which makes him an extremely difficult opponent to take down. He got the better of Thena, but while he was about to steal her power, she managed to slice and dice him. Electro had the power to shoot and literally become electricity, which got amplified after attaching an arc reactor to himself. He was too powerful for Sandman even before the arc reactor, and all three Spider-Men at once couldn't stop him. His speed, flight, attack range, and power are just too much for the characters below. Valkyrie with Thunderbolt also has the power of lightning, but she has the feat of fighting against Gore the God Butcher, and Thunderbolt is one of the strongest weapons of the gods, so I would give her the edge over the guy who got his lightning from electric eels. Namor was stated to be potentially as strong as the Hulk in the film, and the director backs this up by saying he's as strong as Thor, but can be as strong as the Hulk with enough water around. His fist was able to crack M'Baku's Jabari wood armor, which is supposed to be comparable to vibranium. Even if he isn't as physically as strong as the Hulk, with his ankle wings he can fly and is more agile. The danger of his strength and speed multiply due to his primary weapon being a vibranium spear, which can pierce pretty much any opponent. Shang-Chi mastered the martial arts of his mother, which allowed him to take on his dad who was using the 10 rings. He then took the 10 rings from his father, and it was implied he could have killed him if he wanted. With the power of his father and mother combined, I think it makes sense for him to go a tier above them. He also has a statement from an MCU producer that with the 10 rings, a fight between him and Thor or Hulk could go either way, which would put him around here with Namor. I put him above Namor as his feat of killing the Dweller in Darkness was more impressive than anything Namor did. Despite these characters being compared to the Hulk, they simply aren't the Hulk. The Hulk is used as a baseline for a reason. He's one of the strongest, if not the physically strongest Avenger. Even though Hulk is smaller now, he's as strong as ever, being able to throw a large stone faster than sound. Having Bruce's intelligence and skill should make him better than ever. The high superhero tier is for characters above Hulk level. Black Bolt was stated to have the power to destroy Wanda with one whisper out of his mouth. This is backed up by the fact Kevin Feige apparently said Black Bolt was so powerful, he didn't know how Wanda could take him out.
I remember Kevin saying to you, you know, Black Bolt's awesome and we gotta have him in there, but I really don't know how you're gonna take out Black Bolt. He's so powerful. You know, what could she possibly do if he opens his mouth?
From his mouth.
And you turned around and you said, what mouth?
Yeah, Sam riffed instantly. This was Sam's answer, and it's one of the coolest moments in the whole movie. It's also absolutely disgusting.
This could arguably even scale him up a tier, but the Book of Vishanti was needed for the Illuminati to take out Thanos, so it's unlikely his voice is strong enough to hurt Thanos, and Black Bolt is basically featless, plus he's a glass cannon, so I think the bottom of this tier is fair. I think it's also worth noting in the show Inhumans, it stated his voice could destroy a city. Vision is made of vibranium and has the power to become intangible, which are great counters to Black Bolt, and honestly pretty much anybody. There isn't much someone can do if he wants to rip their heart out, and he has a powerful laser beam on top of that. White Vision is above Wanda's creation as he doesn't need the Hex up to survive. Agatha is a powerful witch who could give Wanda trouble. However, she was only able to do that due to her ability to absorb magic and greater experience as a witch. Her whole goal was to take Wanda's power because she was just that powerful. The Darkhold tells how the Scarlet Witch's power exceeds that of the Sorcerer Supreme, so that tells me Agatha's power probably doesn't. That's why I have Doctor Strange next. Yeah, I know, technically Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme, but we all know Strange is the real Sorcerer Supreme, and he's likely who that statement was alluding to from a writing perspective. Strange had the ability to capture all of the Spider-Man villains and was beating Gargantos when not distracted, and eventually killed the giant beast. He defeated another version of himself who was empowered by the Darkhold, and he has this cape that can assist him in battle and allow him to fly, which makes him the strongest Doctor Strange we've seen so far, in live action. The Great Protector is huge and seemed to be a level of power beyond Shang-Chi. If Doctor Strange struggled with Gargantos, I don't see how he defeats this mighty beast. The Great Protector was initially defeating the Dweller in Darkness, but after absorbing some souls, the Dweller became more powerful and turned the tides of battle. Plus, it can't be hurt by conventional physical attacks, so it goes above the dragon. Khonshu is the Egyptian god of the moon and night sky, and has the power to move the moon and the starry night itself. I don't think that power scales to his physical combat, but he can still turn himself into a giant kaiju even bigger than the Dweller and Dragon, so I think he goes above them. Ammit was defeating Khonshu, so she goes above him. She also has the power to take away the souls of the people she deems to be a net negative on the world. Zeus was the leader of Omnipotent City, which was stated to be the home of the most powerful gods. This would likely scale Zeus over Khonshu and Ammit. Plus, he called the gods killed by Gore low level, one of which include Falagar the Behemoth, who's far bigger than Khonshu and Ammit even in their giant forms. He also has the power to flick people's clothes off, which would really embarrass most people and make them easier to fight. Thor was able to quickly defeat him, so Zeus is likely at least a level below him. Icarus is the most powerful Eternal, being able to take on Thena, Makari, and Phastos simultaneously. He can fly extremely fast, creating an island-sized hole in the clouds when leaving Earth, and reach the sun extremely quickly. He didn't instantly burn up, and apparently the melting point for an Eternal is the core of the sun. Icarus may have actually survived his sunbath. His main means of attack is his laser eyes, which pairs nicely with his ability to keep his distance with his speed and flight. Jane Foster as Mighty Thor is similarly fast and can fly with Mjolnir, being able to go around the world twice in a short time. She also has long distance energy projection with her lightning, which is more versatile and can arc out in multiple directions. I think she gets the edge over Icarus in physical strength, as she was somewhat comparable to Thor and Gore, while Icarus was getting overpowered by a Deviant at one point, and with Mjolnir she should be able to strike much harder. The Team Buster tiers for characters on the level of Thanos without any Infinity Stones. Gore was able to give Thor a good fight on multiple occasions and got the better of Thor when he was using Thunderbolt. However, when Thor was in possession of Stormbreaker, he consistently overpowered and knocked around Gore, with his lightning clearly overpowering and burning Gore. What keeps Gore up with Thor using Stormbreaker rather than down with Jane is his ability to summon shadow monsters and tentacles, as well as his ability to travel through shadows, which he used to surprise attack and take out Valkyrie. Gore is also stated by the director to be more formidable than Hela, which solidifies him in the Team Buster tier. Thor in my last tier list was in the high superhero tier, but he's done some training and has moved up to the next level. As I mentioned, Thor with Stormbreaker goes above Gore, with him even getting the edge over Gore in the Shadow Realm, where Gore is at his strongest. There's a statement from a producer that calls him the strongest Avenger, which could scale him over Captain Marvel, but Captain Marvel has similar statements for herself as well. Captain Marvel from Earth 838 was able to give Wanda a run for her money, and should be comparable to the main universe version. Yeah, she was crushed by a statue, but that's only because Wanda drained her of her energy beforehand. Doctor Strange, when dreamwalking and controlling the souls of the damned, was able to put up a better fight against a stronger version of Wanda, so I put him above Captain Marvel. The Scarlet Witch tier is for, of course, Wanda as the Scarlet Witch. Even before discovering the Darkhold, Wanda was already at the top of the Team Buster tier, having the power to defeat Thanos and reality warp an entire town. After learning from the Darkhold, she was able to solo the entirety of Kamar-Taj, even with Strange and Wong there. While dreamwalking, she soloed the Illuminati, including Captain Marvel, and all Strange could do was run from her. While dreamwalking, she stated to be weaker than normal.
Well, there was one point where I was like, you guys are making this too hard for her. I didn't think it was easy enough. But then we decided that the limitation is that she's not in her body. She is in a less oiled version of her body. So it's not capable of doing as much as our universe's Wanda could do. Because it's more about using the body like a bad car or something, or not so tuned up car. So I wanted it to be easier.
So if that version of her isn't already a tier above the characters below, her full powered self definitely should be. Wanda's arguably the strongest character in the MCU, and with the power to travel the multiverse, Wong thought she could enslave it. However, I think that only applies to conventional characters. The universe tier is for characters who have the power to instantly destroy or create entire universes. Airshrim's weird because we're told Celestials have the power to make stars. The beginning of the movie said he made the first star, singular, and none of the dialogue indicated that Celestials made stars any more than one at a time. But there's a scene from the movie where we see Airshrim create the Big Bang, and the people behind the scene confirmed this was him creating the Big Bang.
Eternals explores the very creation of the Marvel Universe itself.
So if we take that at face value, Airshrim should be universe level. But Airshrim being in a tier between Wanda and the universe tier is also fine. Infinity Ultron could destroy galaxies with a thought, and was a threat to the entire multiverse, so he should go above Arishem. The Watcher was almost on par with Ultron and lived beyond the multiverse, so he should go right under him. Doctor Strange from What If ended his own universe and was able to challenge Ultron, straight up eating one of his galaxy-destroying attacks. But he goes below the Watcher as he needed a team to back him up. If you'd like to see more about the What If characters, I recommend you watch my Marvel What If tier list. At the top of this tier list is Alioth. This creature consumes time and space itself, being able to devour entire realities in an instant. This beast was weaponized by He Who Remains to end a multiversal war, which likely means Alioth ended an infinite number of other universes filled with an infinite number of characters on this list. However, it being controlled is an anti-feat, and it was also mind-controlled temporarily by Loki and Sylvie. So Alioth is unquestionably the most powerful in terms of raw power, but there are characters who can possibly tame the overpowered Cloud. I would like to quickly mention He Who Remains, as he's essentially the Rick from Rick and Morty of the MCU. With his intelligence, he could take over the multiverse, but his physical abilities still seem to be that of a regular human. So I just left him off the list as his placement would be highly dependent on his prep time. He could be as high as the top of the list, or as low as the very bottom. Wait, there's actually one more character I have to mention that transcends the tier list itself. Kevin is the creator of the MCU, and every character on this list. So the knowledge-enhanced visual interconnectivity nexus is the true pinnacle of the MCU in terms of power. That's the end of my MCU Phase 4 Strength and Power tier list. I will continue to make more videos and tier lists on the MCU, as well as other verses such as the DCEU, and of course anime. So subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out. And please, like and share the video, as tier lists of this size take a massive amount of work, and the video doing well will encourage me to make more at a quicker rate. Until next time, subscribers, assemble!